I still have the phone. The photos are still on it. And every time I look at them, I remember someone the rest of the world has completely forgotten. This happened during spring break in 2025. There were 4 of us. Me, my girlfriend, Claire, my best friend, Ethan. And that's the problem. I can't remember the 4th person's name anymore. I know how insane that sounds. I know memories don't just disappear. But if you've ever found yourself staring at an old photograph, certain someone is missing, while every part of your mind screams they were standing right there, you'll understand why I haven't slept properly in almost a year. The trip wasn't even my idea. Claire wanted somewhere quiet. Ethan wanted somewhere cheap. I wanted somewhere with no phone signal. After months of non-stop work, a weekend in the mountains sounded perfect. After a few hours of searching, I found a cabin. It wasn't on Airbnb. It wasn't on VRBO. It had its own old-looking website, almost like it hadn't been updated since 2010. The reviews were strange. Not bad, just strange. One review simply said, "Don't rely on your memories." Another read, "Beautiful place, wouldn't stay twice." No explanation, no details, just that. Claire laughed and called them fake reviews. Ethan said people write weird things online all the time. I agreed, mostly because the cabin only cost $95 a night. Looking back, that price should have scared me more than the reviews. The drive took almost 7 hours. At first, everything felt normal. Music, bad jokes, fast food, stopping for gas every couple of hours. Around sunset, our GPS froze, not recalculating, not signal lost. It simply stopped moving. The blue arrow stayed frozen on the same road, even while we kept driving. Ethan restarted his phone. Same thing. Claire tried hers. Exactly the same. 3 different phones. 3 frozen maps. We joked that the mountains were haunted. Nobody laughed very hard. About 20 minutes later, we found the cabin. It looked exactly like the photos. A small wooden cabin beside a lake, surrounded by pine trees. No neighbors, no lights, no road signs, nothing. The silence hit me first. Not because it was quiet, because it wasn't. The forest was full of sounds. Wind, branches, crickets, water. Everything sounded normal, except there were no birds. I didn't notice it immediately. Your brain expects birds in a forest. When they aren't there, something feels wrong without you realizing why. Claire was already taking pictures before we even unpacked. She took one of me carrying our bags, one of Ethan pretending to fall off the dock, one selfie of all 4 of us standing in front of the cabin. I remember that photo clearly, because I was standing on the far left, Claire beside me, Ethan on the far right, and someone between us. I remember laughing because they blinked. Claire said she'd take another later. I remember that. I know I do. That night, nothing happened. No strange noises. No mysterious figures. No creepy phone calls. We cooked dinner, played cards, watched the fire, laughed until almost midnight. It was perfect. The next morning, I woke before everyone else, made coffee, walked onto the porch. The lake looked like glass. No wind, no movement, just still water. I pulled out my phone, mostly out of habit, started scrolling through yesterday's photos. The first few were normal. The cabin, the trees, the lake. Then I opened the group selfie. My smile disappeared. There were only 3 people in the picture. Me, Claire, Ethan. The empty space between us looked completely natural. like nobody had ever been standing there. I stared at it for almost a minute, trying to understand why I felt something was missing. Not in the photo, in my head, like I'd forgotten a word I used every day. A name sitting on the tip of my tongue that refused to come out. I closed the picture, opened it again. Still 3 people. I zoomed in. Nothing. No editing. No glitch. No shadow. Just 3 smiling faces. Then I noticed something that made my stomach turn. Every single photo from yesterday had exactly 3 people in it. Even the ones could have sworn had 4. I kept staring at the photo. 3 people. Just 3. I told myself I was overthinking it. Maybe I dreamed there was someone else. Maybe my brain was mixing this trip with another memory. It happens, doesn't it? I slipped my phone into my pocket and walked back inside. Claire was already awake, making pancakes. Ethan was sitting at the kitchen table, scrolling through his phone. Everything looked normal, too normal. "Morning," Claire smiled. "You okay?" I realized I'd been standing there without saying a word. "Yeah. I just didn't sleep much." She nodded. Neither of them noticed anything strange. Or if they did, they weren't saying it. After breakfast, we decided to hike around the lake. The trail wasn't marked. It looked more like something people had made over time. The forest felt different during the day. Beautiful, but wrong. Not because of what we saw, because of what we didn't. No birds, no squirrels, no insects flying through the air. The trees were alive. The forest wasn't. About 20 minutes into the hike, Claire stopped. "Did you guys hear that?" Ethan looked around. "Hear what?" "I thought someone laughed." We stood there, listening. Nothing, just wind. Claire shook her head. "Forget it." But she kept looking over her shoulder for the rest of the hike. We reached the far side of the lake around noon. There was an old wooden bench facing the water. It looked abandoned. Half of it was covered in moss. Someone had carved initials into the wood decades ago. Underneath, there was a sentence. "You won't notice first." Ethan laughed. People really love creepy messages. He pulled out his phone to take a picture. A second later, he frowned. My battery was at 80%. The screen showed 2%. Claire checked hers. Same thing. Mine had dropped from almost full to 1%. None of us could explain it. 30 seconds later, all 3 phones shut off. At exactly the same time. The walk back felt longer. Nobody talked much. Every few minutes, I catch myself thinking about the missing person again. Not a face, not a name, just the feeling that someone should have been walking beside us. Once, I even stepped aside on the trail, like I was making room for someone to pass. When I realized what I'd done, I immediately looked around. Neither Claire nor Ethan seemed to notice. That evening, rain rolled in, the kind that traps you indoors. We lit the fireplace, played cards, opened a bottle of wine. For a while, everything felt normal again. Then Claire looked toward the dining table. "There are 4 chairs." Ethan shrugged. "So?" She hesitated. "I don't remember there being 4. I looked over. There were 4 chairs, 1 on each side of the table. Nothing unusual, except I couldn't remember seeing the 4th one before either. Later that night, I woke up thirsty. The cabin was completely dark. I checked my watch. 3:18 a.m. I walked downstairs toward the kitchen. As I passed the dining room, I froze. Someone was sitting in the 4th chair. I couldn't see their face. Just a dark outline, perfectly still. I stopped breathing. A few seconds passed. Then lightning flashed through the window. The chair was empty. I turned on the kitchen light. Nothing. No footprints. No sound. Just 4 chairs. Exactly where they'd always been. Or where I thought they'd always been. The next morning, Claire was unusually quiet. She barely touched breakfast. Finally, she looked at me. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." She swallowed hard. "When we came here, wasn't there another car parked outside?" The room went silent. Ethan looked confused. "What are you talking about?" Claire frowned. "I don't know. She rubbed her forehead. "It feels like someone else was staying here." Before I could answer, there was a loud knock on the window. Not the front door, the side window. We all turned at the same time. No one was there, but written across the fogged glass were 4 words: "Stop trying to remember." The words on the window disappeared within seconds. I ran outside immediately. The ground was soaked from the rain. There wasn't a single footprint. Not ours. Not anyone else's. Nothing. It was as if nobody had ever been standing there. Ryan would have laughed it off. Claire would have called it condensation. But neither of them did. Nobody spoke. We simply went back inside and locked the door. None of us slept much that night. Every little sound made us look up. The fire had burned out hours earlier, but none of us wanted to be the one who walked over to light it again. Around sunrise, Claire finally broke the silence. "I think we should leave." I nodded immediately. "So do I." Ethan looked confused. "Because of some writing on a window?" "No," I answered. "Because something doesn't feel right." He rolled his eyes. "We're letting our imagination run wild." Maybe he was right. Maybe we were tired. Maybe we were feeding each other's paranoia. So we decided on one last breakfast, and then we'd head home. While Claire packed the kitchen, I went upstairs to grab my backpack. Halfway down the hallway, I stopped. There were 4 bedroom doors. I stared at them. 4. I slowly counted again. 1, 2, 3, 4. I looked toward the staircase. "Ethan." He came upstairs. "What? How many bedrooms does this cabin have?" He looked around. 3. "No." I pointed down the hallway. "There are 4. He frowned. "What 4th room?" I turned. My heart nearly stopped. There were only 3 doors. I hadn't blinked. I hadn't looked away. One of the doors was simply gone. I didn't tell Claire. I didn't tell Ethan. Not because I thought they'd think I was crazy. Because, for a split second, I wasn't sure if I believed myself anymore. We packed the car. Just before leaving, I looked back at the cabin one last time. Something caught my eye upstairs. Curtain moved. There was no wind. For less than a second, I thought I saw someone standing behind the glass, watching us. I blinked. Nothing. The engine wouldn't start. Not because the battery was dead. Everything turned on. The dashboard lit up. The radio worked. But the engine refused to crank. Again, nothing. Ethan cursed. Claire suggested checking under the hood. I stepped out of the car. That's when I noticed it. The odometer. It wasn't displaying mileage anymore. Simply read. For nothing else. Just for. We spent almost 20 minutes trying to start the SUV. Then, without anyone touching the key, the engine started by itself. None of us said a word. Claire quietly whispered, "Let's just go." We drove for nearly an hour. Nobody talked. The forest seemed endless. The same turns, the same trees, the same old wooden signs. Finally, we passed the gas station we'd stopped at the day before. Relieved, I pulled in. An elderly man stepped outside. He smiled politely. "Long trip. You could say that." I laughed nervously. Then I asked him something that had been bothering me. "The cabin by Black Pine Lake." His smile disappeared. "What about it?" "We stayed there." The old man stared at us for several seconds, then asked, "Who unlocked it?" "The owner left us a key." His face turned pale. "That's impossible." "Why?" He looked toward the mountains before answering. "That cabin hasn't been rented in almost 12 years. None of us spoke. I felt every hair on my arms stand up. The old man continued, "A family disappeared there. 4 people. They searched those woods for weeks. They only found—" He stopped. Claire asked quietly, "What did they find?" The old man looked directly at me. "They found 3 sets of footprints, walking out of the forest." Nobody spoke for almost 5 minutes after leaving the gas station. The old man's words kept repeating in my head. 4 people went in, 3 came out. Claire finally broke the silence. Maybe he was just trying to scare tourists. Nobody answered. Even Ethan, who had been dismissing everything since the beginning, looked shaken. About 30 minutes later, my phone suddenly powered back on. The battery had died at the cabin. Now, it showed 78%. I looked at Ethan. "My phone's back." He immediately reached for his. "So is mine." Claire checked hers. Same thing. None of us had plugged them in. The first thing I opened was my photo gallery. Every picture from the trip was still there. The cabin, the lake, the dock, the forest. I started swiping through them. Then I stopped. There was one picture I had never seen before. No timestamp, no location, no memory of taking it. It showed the 3 of us standing outside the cabin, all smiling. Behind us, one upstairs curtain was slightly open. Inside the dark window, someone was standing there, watching us. I zoomed in. The image became blurry. The figure remained perfectly clear. A man, maybe in his 40s. Long black coat, one hand pressed against the glass. His face looked almost familiar, like someone I'd seen years ago. Before I could zoom in again, the picture disappeared. Not deleted, simply wasn't there anymore. I searched the gallery. Nothing. "Did you guys see that?" Claire looked confused. "See what?" "There was another photo." "There wasn't. I just looked." Ethan leaned over. "Dude, there's nothing there." I felt sick. I knew what I'd seen. We finally reached the highway. Traffic, gas stations, people. Everything looked normal again. The nightmare was over. Or, that's what I wanted to believe. That night, after we got home, couldn't sleep. Around 2:30 a.m., my phone vibrated. One notification. Memories from today. I frowned. The trip had ended only hours earlier. Why would I get a memory notification? I opened it. My blood ran cold. It wasn't today's trip. It was the exact same cabin, same porch, same lake, same mountains. But the date, read, March 18th, 2013, 12 years earlier. The photo showed 4 people standing together. A mother, a father, teenage boy, and a little girl. I had never seen them before. Then I noticed something. The father was wearing the exact same dark jacket as the man I'd seen in the upstairs window. The next morning, I couldn't stop thinking about it. So I did something I should have done before we ever booked the trip. I searched the cabin's address online. Nothing. No Airbnb listing. No rental website. Nothing. It was as if the place had never existed. Then, on page 6 of the search results, I found an old newspaper archive. The headline read, "Local family missing after mountain vacation." The article was short. Too short. It said a family of 4 vanished during a weekend trip. Search teams spent nearly 3 weeks looking for them. They found their SUV abandoned near Black Pine Lake. Inside the vehicle were 4 suitcases, for wallets, for phones. But according to the official report, only 3 people had ever been on the trip. I stared at the screen. Then my heart stopped. At the bottom of the article was a faded family photograph. The father, the mother, the little girl, the teenage boy. I recognized him instantly, not because I'd seen him in another photo, not because I'd met him before, because he had been standing between Claire and Ethan in our first group selfie. The face I couldn't remember was his, and for the first time, I remembered his name, Noah. The problem was, Noah had disappeared 12 years before we were even born. I couldn't stop staring at the newspaper. The boy in the photograph was the same face I remembered standing between us. Noah. According to the article, he had disappeared 12 years ago. According to my memory, he'd been standing beside us only yesterday. That wasn't possible, unless the cabin wasn't making us forget. It was making us remember. I drove back to the gas station alone the next morning. The old man was sweeping the front porch. The second he saw me, he sighed. "I knew one of you would come back. You know what's happening, don't you?" He stayed silent for a long time. Finally, he nodded. "The cabin doesn't take people. It takes the memories of them." I frowned. "What does that mean?" He looked me straight in the eyes. "If everyone forgets you, did you ever exist?" I laughed, not because it was funny, because it was insane. He disappeared inside the station. A minute later, he returned carrying an old cardboard box. Inside were dozens of photographs. Families, couples, friends. Every photo had one thing in common. There was always an empty space, like someone had been standing there. Everyone who brought the photos swore there had been another person. No one could remember who. Then he handed me a small leather notebook. "It's yours. It was left here last spring. I've been waiting for you to come back." I stared at him. "I've never been here before." "You have. You just don't remember." My hands shook as I opened the notebook. The first page froze my blood. March 18th, 2025. If you're reading this, it means the cabin has started again. The handwriting was mine. Every page described things that hadn't happened yet. The frozen GPS, the missing photo, the 4th chair, the message on the window, every detail, word for word. I flipped to the final page. There was only one sentence. "Don't let Claire go back inside." My heart started racing. I grabbed my phone. 23 missed calls. All from Ethan. I answered immediately. He was screaming. "Where are you? Claire's gone." "What?" "She woke up this morning and drove back to the cabin." I don't remember the drive, only the feeling. The entire way there, I kept repeating, "Please don't be too late." The cabin looked exactly the same. Silent, empty. Claire's car sat outside. The driver's door was open. I ran inside. "Claire, No answer. The cabin was freezing cold. I searched every room. Nothing. Then, I reached the upstairs hallway. This time, there really were 4 doors. Not 3, 4. The 4th door was slightly open. Behind it, I heard someone crying. I pushed the door open. It wasn't a bedroom. It was a tiny room. No windows. Bare wooden walls. Covered, floor to ceiling, with photographs. Thousands of them. Families, friends, hikers, children. Every picture had one person scratched away. Not with a knife. Not with ink. It was as if the photograph itself had forgotten they were ever there. In the center of the room, Claire was sitting on the floor, holding a photo, crying. She looked at me, completely confused. I'm trying, but I can't remember who this is. She handed me the picture. It was us, standing in front of the cabin. 4 people. Me, Claire, Ethan, and Noah. For the first time, his face was perfectly clear. He wasn't smiling. He was pointing straight at me. Written across the bottom of the photograph, in my own handwriting, were 6 words. Next time, you'll be the one erased. I grabbed Claire's hand and ran. We never looked back. The cabin disappeared in the rearview mirror. The police searched the area days later. They said there was no cabin, no road, no lake, nothing, just forest. It's been almost a year now. Claire is doing better. Ethan refuses to talk about that weekend. The notebook is locked in a safe. Sometimes I open it, just to make sure. My name is still written on the first page. Because every morning, 1 letter disappears. Yesterday, my name had 8 letters. Today, it has 7. And this morning, my phone created a new album. Its title was Spring Break 2026. Inside, there was only 1 photo. 3 people standing in front of a cabin, smiling, waiting for someone who hasn't arrived yet.